to take your soul, you want to die shaheed, you rely on Allah so much on the battlefield. And this is the reality of jihad. So for example, Surah Tawbah, Surah Anfal, Surah Al-Imran, these chapters, how can you possibly understand them without struggling for this jihad? How will you ever understand this? Is it possible? Is it ever possible for this to be understood except through jihad? No. The Quran, you have to read the Quran, you have to memorize the Quran, you have to understand the Quran, you have to act on the Quran. It's not just reading and memorizing like what people do today. It's good to read and memorize the Quran, but act upon it. And from here comes the first benefit from amongst the benefits of jihad. Liberating the human soul. Establishing Tawhid al-Uluhiyya, meaning Tawhid al-Ubudiyya, Tawhid of action. Establishing this in the heart and soul until the man begins behaving with the Lord of the worlds as if he is seeing him. He behaves in response to the divine attributes of Allah, that he is near. It was a town named Afsalan. It was surrounded by tanks from every direction and place. There was a small group of Mujahideen. They were guarding a storage as the tanks were approaching, and they, the Russians, wanted to capture them alive, and none remained for them except, and so the people said, Allah, do not give away to a single kafir upon me. Then suddenly the battle turns around against the tanks. Voices are heard, yet no one is seen in the area, and there's none in the area except a small group of brothers. The tanks are scorched and the Russian troops retreat. Not a single shot was fired at them. How can those who go through this not trust upon the Lord of the worlds? Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 186, and when my slaves ask you, Muhammad, concerning me, then answer them, I am indeed near to them by knowledge, help and assistance, and I respond to the invocations of the supplicant when he calls on me alone. Sheikh Jalaluddin al-Haqqani said, in the first year of the jihad, people were not capable of reaching us. We were few in number. We were at the top of the mountain, no one could come close to us. No one was able to give us support. We couldn't even light a fire to eat some tea, lest it would cause smoke to rise and the enemy would see our positions. And this was to such a degree that even the regime didn't know where we were, and the earth was narrowing down upon us. Food rations finished. If you became ill, you can endure patiently. Freezing temperature, you can endure patiently. But starvation, where? How can you do that? How can you live without eating anything? I prayed Salat al-Fajr and sat in a state of distress on my prayer rug, and I was overtaken by drowsiness and sleepiness. And then suddenly someone shakes my shoulders from behind me like this. He was sitting on the prayer rug, like the Jalsa, sitting in position of prayer, and he said, "O Jalaluddin, your Lord remained feeding you for 30 years, and you didn't do jihad in his path, so if he forgets you, will you then do jihad in his path?" And that is why an Egyptian brother who was with us, his wife asked him before he joined the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, "Where will you work?" He told her, "I'm going to directly work in the foundation of the Lord of the worlds." And he said, "So and so works under so and so business company, and so works for so and so governor, and I'll work directly to the Lord of the worlds, who's better than me, who's higher than me, whose life is more honored than this life." And that is why the statement of the Prophet is so absolutely true in reality when he said, "Among the best of lives for people is a man who clasps the reins of his horse in the path of Allah, flying on its back whenever he hears the call for battle, the call for jihad or advancement towards the enemy. He flies to it seeking death and being slain with eagerness." This is Sahih al-Muslim 1889, and Sharh al-Nawawi, and declared Sahih by Albani, and Sahih al-Targhib, and Sahih al-Jami. And the four hadith ends with, "And a man on top of a mountain peak or on the bottom of a deep valley, establishing the salat, giving the zakat, and worshipping his Lord until death visit him. People say nothing from him but good." Another narration, seeking death for being same. And in the Musnad of Abu Awana, volume 5, page 59, "A time will come upon mankind when the best of them is a man who grasps the reins of his horse in the path of Allah. Whenever he hears a call for battle, he gets on his back, and then he seeks death eagerly. and there's other hadiths mention something similar to it. But the first obligation is the Tawhid, singly out Allah alone, Tawhid al-Uluhiyyah, and behaving with Allah in accordance with His name and attribute, behaving according to His courteousness and kindness, and behaving with Al-Qarib according to His nearness, and to behaving with Sami according to His all hearing, and so on and so forth. Secondly, the tarbiyah of Izzah, meaning growing and bringing up and raising honor, dignity in the souls of the people. And this is because humiliation and defeat is a consequence of fear, and courage and boldness bring about dignity and honor. But fear for wealth, status, and this life brings about humiliation and subjugation, and freeing oneself from these things bears the fruit of honor. Abdullah Azam mentions a small statement at the bottom of his book. The honor is upon the harsh backs of the stallions, and glory is born from the wombs of sleepless nights and nocturnal journeys. Thank you for listening to this lecture. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.